melancholy. A grand old warship being ignominiously hauled away for scrap. The inevitability of time, don't you think? What do you see?
A bloody big ship. Excuse me.
007. I'm your new quartermaster.
You must be joking.
Why, because I'm not wearing a lab coat?
Because you still have spots.
My complexion is hardly relevant.
Your competence is.
Age is no guarantee of efficiency.
And youth is no guarantee of innovation.
I'll hazard I can do more damage on my laptop sitting in my pajamas before my first cup of Earl Grey than you can do in a year in the field.
Oh, so why do you need me?
Every now and then a trigger has to be pulled.
Or not pulled. It's hard to know which in your pajamas. Q.
007.
Hi, I'm Dave Bjorkgren, Managing Editor of the News of Delaware County.
And I'm Arthur Ryan, Special Correspondent to the News. And this is our review of Skyfall, the new James Bond film that opened up in movie theaters this past weekend. It's been about 50 years since the first Bond film premiered in movie theaters, back in 1962 with Dr. No. And this latest film, Skyfall, has Bond and the intelligence agency he's working for questioning their relevance in a high-tech time that we live in, when we don't know if threats are necessarily with one nation or in one location. It could be a man in a room with a computer somewhere. And I think that's what I like the most about it, that it really took on the modern threats in the time that we live in these days.
Yeah, what I thought was effective with it was the fact that they were questioning whether the individual man still had value in the espionage business.
Right.
You know, they were constantly coming up against the idea that technology could do the same job that that the men could do. And obviously, you know, if you're a James Bond fan,
you have to prove your worth.
Right. You have to prove that you still have value.
Sure. I liked some of the little nods to the fact that they were showing an older Bond and a Bond having trouble adjusting with these changes. I think one of my favorites was when he's sent to meet the new quartermaster, Q.
Right.
And instead of a gray-haired old man, which it's been in most of the Bond films with John Cleese and Llewellyn, who played him in most of the films, it's this 20-something computer geek.
Right.
Played by Ben Whishaw, and it's a great little touch, just showing with Bond having to deal with the changing times, I thought.
And also a nice little inside joke to the gadget-heavy previous films.
Right, because this Q doesn't have a ton of gadgets. It's more his knowledge and computer savvy.
Right, he sends Bond out basically with a radio transmitter and a gun, and that's kind of it. Yeah. But I also liked that, even though this is really about the action adventure and the there was also relationship issues here that talked about it focused on the the idea of trust and loyalty, particularly between Bond and his boss Anne.
And actually it was probably the one of the few Bond movies that I didn't see them all, but that I have seen, where there's so much at stake for the central characters who are often just peripheral, like Anne and Q and things like that.
Right. Basically, in a way, this movie kind of dismantles the entire security apparatus that they all work under, that everyone's come to know from all the Bond movies, and it's sort of everything unravels for them, and they have to sort of put everything back together.
Has a great Bond villain played by Javier Bardem, with great charm and wit. I think he'll be up there with all of the great Bond villains of the past.
And of course, I love Judi Dench.
She's wonderful as Anne.
She brings depth to something that probably doesn't almost deserve depth.
The script for a storyline that can be convoluted, it was actually very easy to follow, I thought.
That was something, I noted. I don't know if that was because of the director or the editing that was involved, but you had a lot of twists and turns, and yet it all held together. You never lost thread of was going on.
I think lastly, it's a beautiful looking film.
Yeah.
The cinematographer Roger Deakins does a wonderful job of painting portraits of Shanghai, China.
I love those scenes.
Macau with the lamplit, boats.
Mm-hmm.
And the moors of Scotland. I mean, it's just
Right.
about a travel log almost, and gorgeously shot.
Yes. So
So I think we recommend it.
Yeah, I think it's I am not a James Bond fan normally, but in fact I've only seen Moonraker, which a lot of people say doesn't really count as a James Bond film. But this movie kept my interest enough. I think I would definitely maybe check out some of the older, better Bond movies, and I could probably, look forward to some coming down the pike. So.
And considering that we set out trying to see Steven Spielberg's Lincoln,
there is a scheduling problem.
Was supposed to open this weekend, but just didn't open in Philadelphia. We ended up seeing the Bond film. It was
So
it was a good runner-up.
Our bad.
Yes. So be sure to read our full reviews at delconewsnetwork.com.
And we'll be back with
next week with Lincoln.
With Lincoln, hopefully.
Yes.
Bye now.